All right.
This been a matchup as good as they are offensively? Why have you guys had some relative success against them as a defense?
Well, I mean, I think the way our teams match up, their obvious strength is their wide receivers and their passing game, and we've had good corners, and we trust those guys to be able to play, and we have good pass rush. So, I think a lot of that goes into it, and it's division football. Teams know each other pretty well, and it's just a matter of going out and playing. But I would say this, like any success or lack of success over the last 3 years means nothing in this game. This game will stand alone, and we have to finish our preparation. We have to go out and play with a lot of toughness and effort and physicality. And if we do those things, we'll feel good about ourselves and coming out with the win.
Go ahead. Just how good was that sequence at the end of the game by Denzel?
Yeah, I mean, it really, like, you probably couldn't have scripted it any better from my comments. My comments last week, I guess it was last week, when we were talking about Denzel and about how, like, people don't throw at him, and they didn't throw at him the whole game. And then the coverage that we were playing was forcing them to go outside, right? It was like, okay, let's take away the inside part of the field, and let's force them to take the lowest percentage throws outside, which, oh, by the way, you're either going to be throwing at Denzel or you're going to be throwing at Tyson, and we like both of those. So, that's just Denzel, his ability. Like, and he had three different techniques on those too. Like, the technique he played, he played so square, they couldn't get him out of square. First play, the receiver couldn't run his route. The second play, the receiver couldn't run his route. And the third one, they tried to double move him and, get a little hezzy in there, and he just had great timing. So, that's the Denzel we know, and that's why people don't throw. But that's also why in those situations we had the confidence to play a defense that forced them to throw the ball outside. That's where their opportunity was going to be. But also, we like those matchups, and we like those players.
Tyson said after the game that it was like night and day with the first Steelers game when it was his first game here to last week. So how has he been? Has he been everything basically you thought he would be when he got here in this system?
Yeah, there's a perfect example of that. And there was a deep ball that got thrown in the first game, and he had good coverage but didn't find the ball. Right. We talked about that. So some people are trained, particularly high school and college guys. A lot of times they train them not to look for the ball, and they just play flashes of hands and things like that. But we want our guys to get their head around a little bit earlier and stuff like that. And you saw a perfect example of that when they tried the Scotty Miller play on 4th and 1. Great coverage, but also just great locating the ball. And the quarterback couldn't throw the guy open because the corner was staring at him, because Tyson was staring at him. So, I think that he had some flashes in that first game. I mean, that's a tough situation. Number one, he plays on Monday night. He gets one day of practice. He's got to try to put everything in, not make any excuses for anybody, because there's never any excuses, but there may be reasons, right? And we've said that before. But, as proud as I am of Tyson on playing, that coverage stuff, a little bit like when I talk about Miles and the TFLs, I'm even more proud of Tyson Campbell when it comes to the physicality and the way he plays the run game. And that's been the thing that's really earned him the respect, not just from the coaches, but from the other players and his opponents.
Do you think Pittsburgh or Aaron altered their game plan regarding Miles not trying to get that sack record?
Well, I mean, they are always Miles conscious. Everybody's Miles aware. They have to be, because otherwise he'll just completely wreck your game. So everybody starts their game plan with saying, okay, 95 is not gonna beat us, and let's see if we can play it another way. I would say this, it helped us because most of the time the guy that was chipping Miles was Gainwell. And with the injuries that they had with losing DK and not having Austin, Gainwell was their number one receiver, So, it's a little bit like swapping queens to get checkmate a couple plays later. You know, I haven't given you any chess. I used to have a lot of chess. I used to play a lot more, you know, but way back in the day. But you know, it was a little bit like that. They took a very important piece out of their offense to try to take an important piece out of ours, and you know, I think that had a lot to do with how it went. But I think, you know, the way this game went, like our corners played extremely well. You know, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it's hard to cover on the outside part of the field. Rogers is a Hall of Famer. You know, they have very capable guys that can play, and Tyson and Denzel played outstanding on the outside part of the field. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Trey Avery, because Trey's bounced around, undrafted free agent, had a couple different teams up and down from the practice squad this year. And we lost Miles Harden, and we did a workout before the game. He just wasn't able to go. And Trey had to step in and play. And, you know, other than like one of his first plays was that rub pick on the 1/3 down, which I'd like a little better awareness of just knowing that's coming to avoid that situation. But settled down on the sideline and played outstanding ball for us. He tackled, he played tight coverage, he played sticky. Like, you know, you want to watch those really the last 4 plays of that game. Watch Trey. Watch how, you know, he's gloving receivers and played really good, but communicated really well, played with some effort. You know, and he was a guy that, you know, whatever Wednesday before really wasn't in the game plan, but we talk a lot about, you know, being able to do your job and don't be the weak link. And not only was he not the weak link, but he was a strong link for him. Guys like Trey, guys like Rayshawn Jenkins. Ray, depending on how the game's played, sometimes Ray plays 5 plays on defense. Sometimes, like this last game, San Francisco Steelers, he's playing 35. But he played really, really physical. He covered well. He was in man-to-man a lot on those guys. Played with great effort, played with great spirit, and made a big, big contribution. So we got some good contributions from those guys. It just wasn't the guys on the outside.
Jim, there are going to be several coaching openings after Sunday. Did you want to be a head coach again?
Yeah, I've answered that question a lot of times, and I just want to keep the focus on the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, we need to finish with a win. We felt good about last week and coming out with a win against a division opponent. Not just a division opponent, but a team that was, I mean, it was a sort of a quasi-playoff game, because if they won, they were in, and we didn't want those guys putting hats and T-shirts on in our stadium. I know our fans didn't want to see that, and we certainly recognize and respect the history of the Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. So we took a lot of pride in that. And, you know, we'll take a lot of pride in this game, and we'll keep the focus. We'll keep the focus on that.
Yeah, but I understand that. But could you just talk about the itch to be a head coach?
No, I've answered that. I've answered that enough times, and I think I'm gonna respect this game and keep the focus on this game, because anything else is not what we're focused on this week.
Miles has talked about.
Sorry, Jeff.
When you guys face Buffalo, Josh rolling away from him a lot more. Have you noticed teams are obviously going to scheme away from Miles, but have you noticed as the season's gone on, teams more dramatically than even they would normally do, going, you know, play designs and everything going away from Miles?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, he's been on a pace for NFL record, you know, and that's going to get anybody's attention, and everybody's going to try to scheme. And when we're on defense, we say, okay, what are the best weapons that an offense has, and how can we try to neutralize those weapons while playing within our personality? Well, opponents do the same thing. Opponents know. I mean, like, and I've said this before. It's a corny thing to say, but you know, he's almost 6'5". He's 280 pounds. He wears number 95. He's easy to find. You know, you're not going to hide him anywhere. He's going to get attention wherever he goes. So, you know, you expect opponents to do those things. I think for the most part of the year, we did a good job of making people pay that took that strategy. And a guy that was really, really important part of that was Malik Collins. And, Malik got hurt, and, hopefully we can get him back and humming again next year, because that makes a world of difference for guys like Miles just like if you're an offense and you got a receiver and they decide they want to take that receiver out and roll coverage to him and double him and everything else. If you got other dudes that can, make them pay for that, then you're in good shape. And I think it just falls on the other 10 guys on the field to make the offense pay when they try to take that approach with Miles.
Joe Burrow's always good, but how impressive has he been coming off that toe? It feels like he didn't miss a beat.
Yeah. You look at their numbers when he's been the quarterback this year, and, they're top of the league and just about everything, number one in third down, and, right up there, and, points and red zone and everything else. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I've always had respect for him, because not only is he a talented player, but he plays tough, uses his weapons, gets them out of bad plays and into good plays. He can extend a play, but he can also throw it quick from the pocket. So, we respect our opponents. We don't fear them. But it's a tough matchup, and last week we played a slam dunk Hall of Famer, and we were up for that challenge. And Josh Allen the week before, and really it was the run in those first couple series, but I thought our guys were up to that challenge, and I hope we'll be up to this challenge too.
In the offseason, after Miles' contract thing and all that, you challenged him to have a career year, and said with that comes the responsibility.
My Spider-Man.
But since you got here, you've found a way to get more and more out of Miles, it seems, each year. Just your thoughts on what you've seen from him.
Well, it's easy for me. I don't have to go out and do it. He's the one that has to go out and do it. I just say this. He has really been on a mission. It's when he signed that contract and committed to coming back, he's really been on a mission. And, you guys don't see practice, the way we do, but you saw training camp. And, was that the best training camp you've seen from Miles Garrett? It's the best training camp I've seen. So I think that has something to do with the success that he's had. He's been very driven. He's been trying to carry the load. He's been taking. He's not afraid of the spotlight. He's been out in that. He's been good leader for us. He's played the run well. I know I've banged that drum probably too many times, but I'm just really proud of the way that he plays the run. And he's been a wrecker on offense, and just hope we can finish strong and set him up to have success in this game also.
The Carson was going to have to leave the field when he was limping at the end of that match.
Well, if it would have been anybody else, I might have been worried. But during the game, I'd hit I'd hit Jason Tarver, and I'd be like, "Hey, look, do we need to get him out?" And he's like, "Let him go. Let him go. Let him go." And I was talking to him after every series, and he just said, "I can do my job." And, and he could. Those last series, what we were trying to do in the last series is Carson was right in the middle of our defense to take those in-breakers away. Whether it was the slants and, all that different stuff. He's perfect right in those windows. He's breaking on the ball. So he was able to still go out and do his job. It's really been an honor to coach that kid. And it's a little bit like Miles. It's easy for me. But he's done everything. And he's played extremely tough. Going back to the ankle sprain, but he's been all over the injury report. He prepares the same. He goes out and plays effectively, and I think some of the plays that I think he's played the best are plays that you guys might not notice, because he'll take something away in the passing game, or he'll play perfectly in the run game that somebody else will make the play. And he's been a good leader for us. He's increased that as the season's gone on. And I look forward to seeing him even take greater strides as a player. Really a cement block for our defense, and I think Defensive Rookie of the Year. Okay. All right. Hey, and guys, I just want to thank you for the year. I know a lot of times you guys got tough questions to ask and everything else, but I've never felt that you had an agenda other than trying to get the right answers and trying to find out the true story behind it. I don't think you guys have been like some other people trying to be inflammatory or trying to create stories. And it's always been a pleasure to come out here and meet with you guys.